Hello, traders. It is Thursday, the 15th of March, 2018. Thanks for joining me. It's 8:03 a.m. Chicago time, 9:03 Eastern U.S. Daylight Time. Want to remind you again, the time difference between Europe and the U.S. is a little bit different until March 25th, when Europe moves into daylight saving time. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The overnight action so far, some interesting movement in the European markets. The DAX is trading up about 0.5%. Gold is down about 0.5%. That's the laggard today. Across the board, it's a mixed bag. I want to remind you again that tomorrow is Quad Witching Friday. Quad Witching Friday for U.S. indices. The March product expires at 8:30 Central or exchange time, 9:30 Eastern in the morning, right at the pit open. So looking at the overnight action, mostly sideways. We did test lower in the S&P. But right now we're holding in the middle of the range. We'll cover that in a minute. As far as what might impact us today, excuse me, we did get a few numbers at about a half hour ago. But looking ahead, there's just the NAHB Housing Market Index at 72. Not a big mover. Other than that, the calendar's clear. It is Thursday, so we still have some room for movement. I cannot wait till this week is over. Just cannot stand the way the market trades this week. We moved from the 2,800 century figure and major strike in the S&P down to 2750. And we've been stuck here at 2750 basically throughout the session, the Globex session. So that's what we are. That's what we're dealing with. I'm going to take a moment to remind everyone, or let you know actually, on Wednesday, the 21st, this coming Wednesday, I'm hosting a webinar. It's basically a panel interview with the famous Anthony Crudelli of Futures Radio Show. And Anthony is a longtime futures trading veteran and has also interviewed a lot of traders over the last couple of years. And this Trader Spotlight event is done through Convergent Trading. Again, Convergent Trading was launched yesterday. The website was launched in beta yesterday. The community's up and running. Things will be implemented over time, but I would really like you to sign up. Just go to bit.ly/capital CT capital C Crudelli. You see it there on your screen. Take a moment to register and attend. The video will be made available afterwards. So back to our regularly scheduled programming. Here's what we expected yesterday. I'm very tired. Very little sleep. Yesterday was looking bullish. So just based on how we've operated in a gap zone on this kind of bearish engulfing day that we had on Tuesday, and the bounce and the way the market traded overnight, the expectation was for us to push higher. I was looking for 27.95 yesterday. So the first step in yesterday's movement would be to most likely be to test the prior day's close and stock zone at 27.75, and then I'm looking for an impulse up. Now that didn't happen at all. This was poo-pooed quite early. The secondary scenario, or the second most likely play, is it immediately pushes up responsive to 27.86 point of control, gets tangled up, pulls back, and then continues higher. Again, 27.95 is the target. That was no go. Okay. What was a go is the third scenario, which was for a small test up. Didn't quite get to where I had expected. Expected the overnight high to be challenged. 83.50 was key for buyers to take back and for sellers to hold. It's the low area at 83.75 from the balance day before the sell-off on Tuesday, and it ended up being the overnight high. So pushing above there, what that would do is put us inside of these 2 points of control, these 2 high volume nodes, and it's likely to become a magnet and push up to 27.95. Now it didn't do that. It fell actually just a tick below the overnight high, and it proceeded to move out of the range, take out this what turned out to be a relatively weak low, and push to 27.55. Now the market did push farther than that. My expectation was 27.55 for a small bounce on the close. Here's what actually happened. So we'll show that on the trigger chart just for the detail. Open, push up 82.50 instead of 83.50. Miss it by not a tick, a point. Drop down, it got to the close, the prior day's close, which was at 72.50. Bounce to the mid. I actually got stopped right in here. Just stopped out right in here to the tick. I posted that. I posted that on Twitter in the morning in the form of a bookmap post showing my showing my fills. The fill being the low of the day is where my stop was. I had to put a hard stop and I had to walk away from my computer when I came back. It just boop right to the tick, and that's just there's nobody who's immune from that. And so the next opportunity, I let this go. The next opportunity was a pullback right there to the prior day's close, VWAP, and mid, and then a range extension down and continuation. Looked good all the way down into these stock zones, down into the 27.50, also a major strike. And then we got this strong bounce. The strong bounce held where? Held the mid again. You can see the blue line behind the yellow. Held the mid and the IB low, 27.66 and a quarter. It just pushed through by 4 ticks for another really decent opportunity, and then just quiet. What we have yesterday is a B-shaped profile. So if this profile was on the right, on the left, it would be a B-shaped profile. What does a B-shaped profile signify? Well, for those of you who are members of Convergent, you have a page that shows market examples, and I explain what this may signify. These are not all B-shaped profiles are created equally, but what we have is a profile that shows long liquidation. Long liquidation, so the market quickly moved through the stem here and then found balance down here. So what this implies is, because the VPOC is near the low, what this implies is an extension down, most likely in Globex, but overall the bigger implication is we are likely to balance in here for today. The caveat, of course, being the rollover. Okay, so let me get my overnight chart in here. My fancy shortcuts. By the way, those of you who are at Convergent, you can grab these exact definitions. So you're looking at the same things with the stock zones built in. Just ask in the room. So here's what we did overnight. Quick drop for new lows. Quick pop right afterwards. Looks very newsy. But overall, we've been stuck here between 27.50 and 27.60. The profile is P-shaped in the overnight session. The volume is relatively high, but then again, it's rollover. The volume is expected to be higher than normal, so I don't know how much of this is the rollover factoring in versus the activity. But overall, the overnight session has tested the low and shows clear rejection, holding the mid, holding yesterday's close, holding above the mid. Yesterday's close, the mid and yesterday's close are on top of each other right now, the mid of the overnight session, with a weak high. Look at this high is relatively weak. So again, I'm expecting this to start poking through and pushing back towards the 27.66 and higher 27.75 again. So that's what we are shaping up to do in the overnight. That's what we've done in the overnight and what we're shaping up to do. Again, remember the delta readings, the volume readings aren't as good in this situation. Okay, in the event of a rollover. So today we're opening slightly higher than where we closed yesterday, and we're opening in range, in value. The value is somewhat disputable here. We did trend down somewhat. We do have a normal variation day yesterday with a long liquidation profile. This may spur some continuation, but overall, if we do continue, I'm expecting it to balance down in here today. So this morning, I'm looking for an open auction, test lower into the close, and you guessed it, I'm looking for an impulse back up at 27.66, 27.66 area, and then consolidate and then start drifting back up into 27.75, 27.75 being a key target for today. That's what I'm shooting for. So I'm looking for the response down. I'm going to keep my hands off. And see how the market responds as it approaches the close. And then I'm looking as soon as I see it stabilizing, just looking at Bookmap and what the depth looks like, what the order flow looks like on the sell side. How easily is the market winning when it sells? That's the question, right? How easily is it moving through the bid as it sells off? If it's not moving easily through the bid, then it's worth it's worth taking a stab at. The outcome's always 50-50 in that situation. So that's what I'm looking for on the key push. The alternative is we open up, test higher, test the overnight high. It's a weak high. And then we move into the closing price, consolidate, and then start to retest yesterday's low down here. Okay, back at the 27.50, and then I expect it to consolidate down here for a pop into the close. Overall, I'm not expecting a trend day. Does that mean I'm not gonna consider that it may be a trend day? Of course I am. There was some weird movement last night. The market dropped about 10 points straight into the gap zone mid, or the gap zone low of the non-farm payrolls. So let's send this to the back. So it stopped right here on basically a 10 point move, very quick. I did ask the news desk, and they said there was some movement in the Nikkei at the same time, but they don't see news. But I just there's some weird jitters there that we're seeing. But overall, these are the two main scenarios that I'm looking for. Again, I want to remind you, please register. We want this webinar is open to the public. You don't have to be a member of Convergent or anything. Anybody can register. bit.ly/CT in caps dash Crudele, CRUDELE with a capital C. You see it in front of you on your screen. Take a moment and register. Thanks.